The new Negro Feminism. In the immediate aftermath of World War I, the iconography of Japan as the new Negro of the Pacific helped open another space to critique of white supremacy. However, those who identified the new Negro of the Pacific did so with a gender framework and relied heavily on the tropes of war and militarism to articulate a masculinist vision of black freedom. Such a vision embraced the gender roles and consistently failed to acknowledge the roles that the African, Caribbean, and American woman played in making the black radical tradition. New Negro leaders and writers' commentary on Japan was imbued with gender assumptions that perceived international and domestic policy as male-dominated spheres. During the years of 1917 and 1922, however, African American women, including Grace Campbell, Ida B. Wells Barnett, and Jessie Fauset, shaped an anti-war, anti-racist, and anti-imperialist discourse and politics of the New Negro movement in significant ways. Although issues of women's rights did not appear in the pages of the Crusader, women were figured prominently in the African Blood Brotherhood. Grace Campbell, in particular, occupied a position of leadership in the group, and her home was used as a meeting place and an office. Moreover, Ida B. Wells Barnett, a towering crusader for racial justice and a veteran anti-racist and feminist activist, was nominated twice to represent the African American delegation in 1919 Paris Conference, even though she was, like Trotter, unable to secure a passport to travel abroad. Indeed, recent scholarship shows that African Caribbean American women political activism gained momentum in international context during this period. The first and the second wives of Marcus Garvey, Amy Ashwood Garvey, and Amy Jacques Garvey, for instance, were especially instrumental in rallying of black women to challenge imperialism. According to historian Eula Lake Terrace, Jacques Garvey worked as the associate editor of the Negro World so that she not only built a black nationalist Pan-African movements, but also constructed a distinct black feminist tradition, which Taylor calls community feminism. Jacques Garvey made feminism central to the UNIA and interpreted women as both being helpmates and leaders capable of leading a role in community and nation building. Other women leaders through the revolutionary marches did not inform their politics as with Grace Campbell. They considered women active participation in world affairs to project racial advancement. Madam C. Walker and Ida B. Wells Barnett were active in the short-lived International League of Dark Peoples, as well as Michelle Reeve Shows, the leaders of the club movement, Mary Terrell Church, Mary Talbert, Addie Hudson, Margaret Mary Washington, participated in international organizations such as the Women League International League for Peace and Freedom, and organized the International Council of Women of the Darker Races to synthesize the causes of racial injustice and peace locally and internationally. For some of the so-called Japanese questions entered their political discussions and was taken up as a topic of analysis among the membership. Above all, Jessie Fauset, then the literary area of the Crisis magazine, started a diverse intellectual tradition during the New Negro era. Writing in the wake of the 1917 East St. Louis race riots, Fauset articulated African Americans' determination to defend democracy in the face of white terrorist actions leveled against them. Although the following statement does not make any reference to Japan, it does reflect the mood of the Negro and New Negro radicalism. Here, Fauset described the nature of white mobs against African American women, children, and family as a global trend and tried to invoke the motif of the rape of the black women, rather than emphasizing African American men as the victims of racial terror. Historian Robert D.G. Kelly noted the symbolic significance of Fauset's narrative strategy that carries specific historical resonance in the light of the historical of sexual terrorism visited upon black women in slavery and freedom. Fauset declared, "To all the people who are members of a snatch a baby because it was black from his mother's arms, as done in East St. Louis, and fling it to a blazing house, while white furies held the mother until the man shot her to death. Such people was definitely approaching moral disintegration. Turkey had slaughtered some Medians, Russia held its pogroms, Belgium has tortured and maimed in the Congo. And Turkey, Russia, and Belgium are synonymous for anthem of demoralization and pauperdom. Yet we, American Negroes, are the acid test for the Occidental civilization. If we perish, we perish. But if we fall, we shall fall like Samson, dragging an enemy with us, the pillars of the nation's democracy." Moreover, Fauset's narrative conveyed just how black freedom struggle represented the owner in the United States and the world at large. She convinced that the cornerstone of democratization locally and globally were found in African American struggles for freedom, and they were the vehicles of rescue colored humanity from white supremacy. Suddenly aware of the white problem and interpreted as a sign of moral and political bankruptcy of the so-called Western civilizations. The pattern repeated of racial programs in the United States abroad was clear evidence of the white world descent to hell, as Du Bois put it. According to literary critic Jane Kunas, Jane Foster, especially of the Dare's Confusion in 1924, emphasized the thing that black cultural practices and black people are surpassing or even replacing white practices and the people of the role of defining national progress. During this period, Foster was indisputably one of the sharpest critics of white supremacist underpinnings of imperialism and colonialism. Such a racial critique, however, went unmentioned in the pages leading to the new Negro publications. When dominated instead by vague ideas of African women, the editors constructed a narrative of race progress and race pride and emphasized Victorian gender conventions. These publications, such as Kevin Gaines noted, saw a new standard of female beauty as part of the new Negro culture and aesthetic. African American women cultural and political space for separate representation was narrow, and a long-standing struggles against sexual violence were often rendered invisible. This is the thing our women had to go through, the new Negro Feminism, which is not really talked about much. That, I said it before in other videos, the black woman is the most subjugated person on this planet. A couple other women talked about it and how their plight, besides, getting lynched and raped and other things, the sexual mores and stuff like that, they had to deal through the imperialism. Don't forget that we're a team, though. The black man and the black woman is Team Voltron. African pride, the lion and the lioness. One thing we should take note and pride is the Honorable Queen Fauset work. We the American Negroes are the asset of the Occidental civilization. If we perish, we perish. But when we fall, we shall fall like Samson, dragging and nailing with the pillars of the nation's democracy with us. And that's the power we have as a people. She knew it back then. I'm glad that Queen, that should be a quote. We should look more into her work, because this is my first time ever hearing about her. But give that queen her credit to do, because she knew that we would tear this country up and all. This country is not a democracy, y'all. It's a fascism type state. We got to wake up and look at it and see it. It's always been like that for us. But much love to these queens, these ancestors. We got to give it up to these African revolutionary women who helped build us and strengthen mold us. Subscribe to the channel. Much love and Hotep. I hope y'all thought y'all learned something. Much love to y'all. Peace.